good. YouTube, hello? Says you're live. There you go. We are live. What is this thing talking about? Um, 1 second. Alright. Ah, shit. I just noticed my mic was all the way to the right side. I don't know if you guys heard anything that I said. But we should be good now. Or fix this. Yeah, that should be good. Alright. So let's get back on track. We have everything that we need. Yeah, all the chats are working good. So what we're going to do is watch some videos just because, yeah, I don't got much to do. Not today, at least. I have everything up to date. At least with homework and everything. Everything seems to be good. At the very least. Got myself some Subway, so after the stream, I'm gonna be eating fucking good. I'm gonna be eating nice. And what else? September 9th. Alright. Much later. Alright, so we're gonna start. We'll start the day off strong, you know? We'll be going off by humans are terrifying. So let's get this started. Let's get the ad out of the way.
Need a moment just for you? At Ollie, we get it. That's why we made these. New.
What makes you?
Alright. Oh my god, I'm low. There you go. That's better. Alright. So we're going to be watching Humans Are Terrifying by SPDS.
What makes humans terrifying? We're not the strongest or
things.
fastest animal, and we're definitely not the biggest. So what makes us scarier than anything in history? At first I thought it was because we're smart, but after spending hours researching human nature and what humans have done, the horror of humans goes much deeper than I thought. Let's take ancient humans for example. Ancient humans used persistent hunting to tire their prey out over a long period of time, until they simply couldn't run away anymore. Just the fact that we have 2 legs alone makes us prime for running, but we also sweat a lot more than other animals, which cools our body significantly, allowing us to run a lot further. Humans can eat just about anything for nutrients, but if we can't find food, that's okay as well, because the body will eat the fat inside itself to stay upright, to stay running at all costs. But what's sad is usually at the end of these hunts, it ends with an animal just straight giving up. When an animal simply can't cool down by sweating or efficiently run like humans can, they get tired, and they eventually just stop and lay down, accepting that they have lost. This is horrifying. After the animal
That's
gives
scary
up,
shit.
the human can simply just finish it off without a fight because the animal cannot move. The animal frantically tries to run away, but its legs fail them, and as the human gets closer, its fate is sealed. The human has won. This absolute relentlessness that humans portray when they hunt is so terrifying to me. But humans aren't the only persistence hunters in the animal kingdom. However, our scariness goes far, far beyond persistent hunting, because hunting was important in ancient times. But now, we've brought humanity far past the times of fire and stones, and we've become very aware of the true atrocities of humankind. Humans have committed much of their own atrocities amongst themselves throughout history, in ways much more brutal than we could imagine. But will we ever fully
Alright, let me just stop and talk about the first part that we just saw. The more I think about it, it's kind of scary the fact that we don't use those tactics anymore in a way that is like our society is fat as shit, especially in the U.S. Our society, there's so many people overweight. Sad to say it. I think some other countries don't have the problem as much as we do. The United States, just because everything's so big and the amount of sugar that we give out to people is just very large compared to other countries. But being fat should have never been a thing. The fact that we are able to, the fact that we were able to like store food for energy is because of those times where, back in the day where we needed energy, we would just be able to kind of store it so that we can go hunting, and that we could actually kill something to be able to eat it. So the fact that we don't do that anymore, we just kind of order some food and we don't hunt for it anymore, is the reason why we're so fat. But it's not even like that we have to hunt anymore. The fact that humans don't necessarily like to work out anymore. Majority of the people that are fat, they just don't like working out. That's the reason. They have no, they have like their body has no energy to like their bodies have no reason to burn energy, so they just like keep it in their bodies. So that's why there's hella people that are fat, because they don't like to do the bare minimum and just walk or jog.
Fully unite, and if so, how terrifying can we be? In the case of an alien invasion, aliens might not be ready for the destruction that humans could inflict on them. Imagine coming to an alien world called Earth, and being attacked straight away by a horde of small running creatures that are somehow smart enough to inherit the planet they live on, and to have manipulated metal and chemicals into weapons of mass destruction that can blow up entire lands of mass in seconds. And not only do humans manipulate things into weapons, our entire existence itself is owed to endurance and determination. When we have a sight in mind, we do not stop until that goal is accomplished. Our actual fighting capacities are barbaric. We can take extreme damage to our insides and lose half our blood and live on. But we also fight with such tenacity and endurance that might not even be conceivable to an alien species. That's a human for you. Purely brutish. But unfortunately, like I said, humans have, in their own special way, inflicted a lot of their own horrors on themselves. But what were the worst things humans have ever been through? Massive war crimes like the Holocaust and many other smaller overlooked events have shown just how messed up humans can be towards themselves. I mean, at a certain point, at some times, the biggest threat to humanity wasn't a massive asteroid or earthquake, but instead, well, ourselves.
This game, you're not ready for.
But our species has seriously endured unbelievable challenges. For example, in medieval times, the Black Death casually just killed off roughly half of all humans on Earth in just 5 years. Which, if you think about it, is absolutely insane. Imagine living in that time where essentially everybody was dying. Other early human pandemics like the Plague of Justinian during 541 CE killed roughly 30% of the population at that time. And there has been a plethora of other major extinction plagues throughout history, all of which we endured and survived. Things like the Black Death seriously threatened humanity as a species. If our ancestors didn't valiantly push through and survive these mass extinction events, we would not be here right now. But that's what makes us so scary, is the ability to come out and repopulate or remake what we lost after it's done, over and over again. But as I said, humans' biggest threat is unfortunately ourselves, as our differences in ideals and belief leads to the biggest conflicts in history, which leads to creating terrifying machines of destruction that lead to more casualties than should be humanely possible. And trust me when I say, humans just love creating machines of destruction. The Rods of God was a concept where we would launch 20 feet long massive rods of tungsten into orbit and drop them from space onto a target at a massive speed, forcing a collision that rivals the impact of nuclear bombs. I could only imagine seeing a massive tungsten bar falling from space towards me. And ridiculously enough, the concept was only dropped because it was too expensive and not practical, not because it was inhumane. We are great at destruction, and we actively try our hardest to protect from and destroy, well, each other. Aliens would probably also realize just how fast humans have grown as a species. 200 years ago, humans didn't have railroads. 125 years ago, airplanes didn't exist either. 75 years ago, we didn't have spaceflight. 35 years ago, we didn't have the internet. We've already pretty much inherited the Earth.
Dude, yeah, the speed at which our technology is growing is actually fucking, like, let me restart that. The speed at which our technology is increasing every day just because now we're able to communicate between countries, different states. Like the technology that we had to like make it better, especially with, like China, I don't know, the U.S., Russia, or like on other countries that are like very good on technology. We're able to create a lot of things that we're improving on, and this is just a small time in which humans have been alive. This, all of this like technology things came out like maybe 200 years ago, max. Computers and everything, the internet, it's very very new. Like we have not had this for like thousands of years that humans have been alive. This is like very very new, and it's amazing how much. It's amazing how far we've gotten with just that small amount of time that we've been able to use it. Like now we have fucking internet, which is one of the massive things that have made thousands, millions of people fucking rich. Massive companies being able to get established because of the internet. Many small businesses just because of one invention. No. Just because of one invention. I love the internet, man.
The next it will be the stars and whatever comes after that, and if anything tries to get in our way, we will annihilate them. Our technological growth is nothing to sneeze at, because it's only growing more and more as time passes. AI is now growing at exponential rates, spaceflight is resuming soon, and medical technology is so good we've increased our lifespan by almost 50 years since ancient times. Our growth is insane.
Yeah.
While we might have the technology to drop asteroid-like attacks on ourselves, what happens when something like an asteroid really does come attacking Earth? Well, fear not, because we somehow have that covered as well. Astonishingly, NASA just accomplished what I believe to be the most insane thing in a long time. I mean, I was seriously baffled when I saw this. The first ever successful attempt at combating potentially dangerous asteroids was succeeded by NASA's DART mission in 2022, when NASA intentionally slammed a spacecraft into an asteroid as humanity's first planetary test of defense.
What am I looking at?
The asteroid Dimorphos was roughly 6.8 million miles away from Earth at the time, and the spacecraft hit the asteroid at 13,000 miles per hour upon collision. The crater left on the asteroid in mid-space was about 33 feet across, and we, as humans, successfully directed an asteroid orbit period by an entire 32 minutes. We shot something across the vast nothingness of space and altered an asteroid mid-orbit. That is confounding.
Why was this
Space
not,
is such an invisible boundary for humans. Its
this.
sheer vastness and emptiness is something that I actually made a whole video on. But slowly, surely, us humans are poking at the veil. We are held back by a glass ceiling that is space travel. One day, we might even be able to make it to another planet or another star, because we are so mortifyingly growing that our potential will shatter the glass ceiling without looking back. And once this happens, the universe will truly be afraid of our potential. But I've been holding back on talking about one specific thing because it truly is the most terrifying thing about humans. And that one thing is our curiosity, our unwavering desire to explore.
Dude, how long do you think it would take for us to get to space traveling? In the sense of like we're able to basically like planets a million years away, or like light years away, or million light years away, pretty much. How much do you think it's gonna take for us? How long do you think it's gonna take for us to get to that point in which we're able to do that? I say 200 to 300 years we will be able to do that. I think with the amount of technology that we have currently, in 200 to 300 years, I think we would have. In 200 to 300 years, I think we should be able to at least land in Mars, or have like at least a town in Mars. But if not, I don't know. It would be kind of disappointing, but you never know. But as of right now, I think that sorry, I'm so tired. I think that as of right now, we are not anywhere close to traveling at light speed. But I think like 200 to 300 years, maybe there's one guy that's able to create it, and then that will just completely change our humanity, because we will be able to travel to other planets. So that's like a completely other planet to discover. And I will not be the first one to go, because fuck that. I don't want to be the first in a new planet. I'd like to be like, I would like to be able to go once it's I would like to be able to go once it's safe. I wouldn't want to be the first one to pretty much anything, because there's a danger that you might fail. Like being the first human that got like a heart transplant, I don't know about that. That's like very risky. If you're like the 12,000, all right, I'll take it, because there was 12,000 people ahead of me that got it, and if it succeeded, then there's a chance it might succeed. But if I'm the first planet, but if I'm the first person on another planet, fuck that. I'm not doing that.
Explore pretty much anything. We want to conquer everything that we don't already have possession of. We want to conquer mountains so we can climb every one that looks impossible, and some of us die in the process simply for the sake of doing it. We travel to space because we feel claustrophobic on the already massive Earth and want more to conquer, explore, and experience. We find every nook and cranny of every possible spot that we can so we know we're not missing out, and we love every second doing it. If I were an alien that came to Earth, I would be afraid, as humans would likely uncover me by accident and find me interesting and take me in for human investigation. The human is a capsule of creativity, a capsule of spirit and courage, and we leave our mark in every possible way we can for the people that will be here after we are gone, because we feel that it is important to say hello. And we will continue to explore and conquer until we have fully, and I mean fully, exhausted every last urge to conquer in our DNA. And until then, whatever stands in our way will either have to move aside or be annihilated. And we do this all under the conception that we have no idea why we are on a rock in the middle of space with a conscious mind. We were plopped onto this space rock and took control of it in a blink of an eye. We pushed forward in the name of our biology and as the only animal capable of self-reflection and complex consciousness. But with this consciousness, we are cursed by our own minds to be forced against the unknown universe. Humans aren't just terrifying. We are lonely and terrified. We are for unknown universe complex consciousness. But with this consciousness, we are cursed by our own minds to be forced against the unknown universe. Humans aren't just terrifying. We are lonely and terrified. We are forced against the scary void of the unknown world and the universe as we try to survive every day. We have every right to be afraid of the universe and want to give up. So then why do we continue no matter what? Why do we somehow pull through the most dire circumstances? I'll say it again and again, because us humans are persistent. We are absurd and we are great. We persevere even in the face of the terrifying and unknown universe. In the face of absurdity, in the face of the unknown, we continue to strive and proceed to push forward regardless of the outcome. Because we are relentless and we are terrifying. O universe tremble, for Mother Earth has birthed an unforgiving force, and it looks upon you wanting. We are matter that decided to wake up one day. We are significant and beautiful that no matter what stands in our way, we shall push forward in the name of humanity, to write one more story in the seemingly pointless tale of history. We will continue to breathe our breaths and become a force so reckoning that not even the Mother Universe could hold a candle to our grit. We will forge a new path throughout time and mark the name Homo sapien deep within the cosmos as a crucial point in history, as a species so terrifying that we forced our way through catastrophe. And
alright, I got bored of it. This guy was trying to be David Goggins or some shit. But yeah, I think what was I talking about? You made me lose track of what I want to talk about. What do you say? But anyways, as I was trying to say, the fact that aliens actually do exist, there's some people that say it doesn't exist, but I'm pretty sure there has been like this one thing. I'm pretty sure some people say that the aliens don't exist, but I remember seeing on like TikTok or YouTube that there was like CIA agents or FBI agents that were like high-ranking officers, and they said that aliens did exist, but then humans just didn't care at all. They were just like, oh, all right, cool, they do exist. Well, now, because we have come in contact with many terrestrial life, like UFOs and stuff like that, but like I don't think humans care that much. Cause I remember when the news came out, no one seemed to care that much. Everyone just kind of ignored it. It should be big news, but like, then again, I think humans have like their own problems to the point that they don't really care if alien does exist. Kind of like Futurama, if you think about it. There's like aliens everywhere, and then humans just kind of cool. There's humans everywhere, and then the aliens are like, no fuck. There's aliens everywhere in Futurama, but why can't I fucking say this? there's aliens everywhere, but humans just seem to coexist with them because they have their own problems to deal with. Like they don't mind aliens just being on side. And I think that one day we'll get to that. I mean, hopefully. It would be kind of nice to see that other. It would be kind of nice to see other species walking around with humans, because if we get friendly enough with them, I think we be able to discover how light speed works. Because I've seen like videos of like UFOs. I don't know if it's real, probably not, but it would be kind of cool to be able to use light speed to get to other planets. But yeah, I like the video. I didn't like the inspirational message at the end just because, yeah. Anyways, good video. Alright, let me just start recording this thing. Oh my god. That's okay. Alright, on to our next video. That should not have taken that long.
Guess which student has a better chance of getting into an Ivy League school? First, take a look at Zach. He's valedictorian.
This video is sponsored by Surfshark. It's year 2040 and sea level. This video.
Alright. That's not it. Alright, so we're going to be watching What the U.S. Values Your Life at $12,500,000 by Mimo Dale. Damn it, bro. I can't fucking speak today. We're going to be watching What the U.S. Values Your Life at $12,500,000 by Memeable Data.
It was sponsored by Surfshark. It's year 2040 and sea levels are rising due to global warming. You're the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, a country with 26% of its land below sea level. You have a budget to improve the dikes and prevent a tragedy. Your engineers conclude that the more you spend on building dikes, then the lower the risk of a deadly flood. However, they also conclude that the risk is never zero, no matter how much money you spend. You're going to have to accept a certain probability of a deadly flood. The engineers give you three options. Option A, go cheap and build a basic wall. It costs $100 million, and with this wall, you have a 20% chance of a deadly flood in the next century. It's not great, but it does the job. Option B, spend $10 billion and build a more advanced seawall.
I'll go with
It's
10
much
billion.
better, but there's still a 5% chance of a deadly flood in the next century. Option C, spend the entire national budget of $500 billion to build the best seawall possible. You'll be saving as many lives as you can, but there's still a 1% chance of a deadly flood happening in the next century. However, that also means you will not have any money left to build hospitals, schools, roads, and pretty much anything. You will have bankrupted the Netherlands. Which option do you choose? How much are you willing to spend to save lives? How much is a life
that's
worth?
kind of crazy.
Even though I made up these numbers, this is a real problem the Netherlands have to deal with. In 1953, a storm in the North Sea caused a major flood in the Netherlands that killed 1,800 people. Later, the Netherlands started Delta Works, a series of construction projects to study and prevent a similar catastrophe from happening again. And to decide how much to spend on dikes, they had to decide how much they were willing to spend to save a human life. We'll be looking at how they solve this problem, how much countries are willing to spend to prevent a death, and what 500 of you, the audience, think about the ethics of putting a value on life. Now, some of my subscribers don't know this, but I'm a Portuguese currently living in the Netherlands. There are some things I've missed since I moved here. I miss the weather, I miss the food, and I also miss watching Portuguese football. This type of content is usually not available abroad. That's
Really?
where Surfshark VPN, the sponsor of this video, comes in. Use a public Wi-Fi. Intercept your personal data and keeps your. If you use code MISC to try it out. Governments have
Alright, back to the
to
video.
decide how much you're willing to spend to save lives. How much should we invest in road safety? How do we decide which health treatments are affordable enough to be adopted? A common way to solve this problem is to use the value of a statistical life. In 2022, the US Department of Transportation set this value at $12.5 million. What does that mean? Imagine we have a road and we want to rebuild it to improve its safety.
Okay.
About 40,000 people die in car accidents every year in the US. let's say 2 of those deaths happen on this road. Roads typically last about 25 years, so that means 50 people will probably die on this road if we rebuild it with the same features. An engineer comes up with a plan, adds some safety features like barriers and pedestrian crossings to halve the expected number of deaths down to 1 per year, meaning you'll save 25 lives during the next 25 years. According to the US Department of Transportation, this improvement is worth $12.5 million for each death avoided, which adds up to $312.5 million. If adding these safety measures is more expensive than that, then the money is probably better spent elsewhere. Of course, in reality decisions are not based only on this value, but this is a key metric. Does the value of $12.5 million per life sound unethical to you? Well, ask you guys how much you would.
I mean, if you think about it, a human can most definitely make that much amount of money in their lifetime, but it depends who you are. If you don't provide any like solutions to problems, if you're just, I don't know, you're just like working as a cleanup guy, I don't think you're gonna make $12 million in your lifetime. But if you like to start a business, I don't know, solve problems for other people in the sense of like you have your own business, I think you will be very likely to make $12.5 million dollars. I think you'll be able to make $12.5 million in your lifetime than if you're just like a cleanup guy working for a company. But I don't know how they got that. I don't know why they valued the life at 12.5. I don't know who came up with that exact number. It does kind of seem reasonable because there's potential, but there's also like that potential with people. Like there's a chance that that person might not make that much money in their lifetime, but there's a chance that they might make quadruple that in their lifetime. You never know.
Be willing to spend to improve your own road safety. You see, the value of a statistical life does not represent the intrinsic worth of a human life. It's a value for a risk reduction, and it represents how much the US are willing to spend to reduce the risk of a road fatality. So I asked my subscribers to choose between 2 roads. Option 1 is the first road, which has the same death rate as an average American road. The toll price is $2.2. Option 2 is the new road, which is twice as safe but costs $4.4. Would you be willing to spend an additional $2.2 to improve your road safety? You can pause the video now if you want to participate and see the details of the 2 options.
I'll pick the safer one.
Most people chose option 1.
Really?
If you chose this option, that implies you're not willing to spend $2.2 additional dollars to reduce your risk of death in 0.0000175%, which suggests you give yourself a life valuation of less than $12.5 million. At least in the context of road safety. So take that into consideration before you're too hard on the US Department of Transportation. You might also be wondering how they got this value of $12.5 million.
Yeah, how did they get that?
Typically, there are 2 main methods to do this. First, surveys that measure the preference stated by people, surveys like this one. And secondly, we can also analyze the preferences revealed by consumers by looking at how much they spend on products like safer cars, insurance, and bicycle helmets. Both methods depend on the wealth of the country and its cultural values, which is why you end up with differences between countries. Here you can see some of the values I found. As you would expect, richer countries like the US tend to have a higher valuation. Which brings us back to the Netherlands. In 2012, the Dutch were using a value of a statistical life of 7 million euros to plan their dikes. The way they solved their dike problem is by doing a cost-benefit analysis with a cost penalty of 7 million euros for every expected death. So if you build better dikes, you spend more money building them, but you also save more money on the cost penalties of the expected deaths. If you combine the 2 costs, the minimum of that line gives you the best trade-off between risk and reward and tells you how much the government should spend on the dikes. Based on this math, the government set different safety standards for each region. In 2016, the probability of a flood in Amsterdam was 0.08% per year, or an expected 1 flood for every 1250 years. The ethics of these problems can get even more complicated. Imagine a 19-year-old patient has a serious disease which, without treatment, will kill him within 1 year. There is a treatment that can cure the man immediately and allow him to have a life expectancy of 80 years. However, the treatment costs $1.5 million and the National Health Service has a limited budget. Do you think the treatment is worth the money?
I can't. Damn, bro. So with no treatment, you get 1 year. Or you can have a treatment that will cost $1.5 million. And it will pretty much make you live until like you're 80 years old. I think it really depends on the person, dude. I don't think a lot of people are able to afford $1.5 million, first of all. And if you look at it from an insurance company's point of view, if you're giving the treatment, there's no profit in that at all for you. Because even if you raise your policy to like, I don't know, 1,000, I don't think that you will make your money back at all on him. So I think like their health insurance will just pretty much tell them to fuck off and not give them the medicine just because it costs too much. But that human could essentially end up making that much money in their lifetime, way past that. I feel like everyone can. I feel like every human is able to make over $1 million in their lifetime if you do the right things. But dude, it really depends because I don't think they would afford it. So I'm gonna have to go with no treatment, I guess, because I won't be able to afford 1.5 million. I will not be able to afford it. So I went with my situation.
Over 80% of my audience said yes, and seems to agree his life is worth at least $1.5 million. Now, what if instead we have an 80-year-old man who is in bad health and has an expected 2 years left to live? He's now diagnosed with the same disease as the first patient. Without treatment, the disease will kill him within 1 year. If he gets treatment and the disease is cured, but his other health conditions remain, meaning he will spend the last 2 years of life in the hospital with severe health complications.
No treatment.
If the treatment costs 1.5
he already fucking live. You compare that to like a 20-year-old that just started living, or like a 12-year-old, just a kid. He has a whole life ahead of him, but if you compare it to an 81-year-old that, even with the treatment, they will still have life complications that they will most likely still be in the hospital. I don't think it should be worth it. And I think he should come to terms that he's 81 years old. He should. Since he's 81 years old, then he pretty much has already lived life to the fullest. He has already lived life to the fullest if he's an 81-year-old man. But if you compare it to like a 12-year-old where he has so much to live compared to the old man, then yeah, I don't think the 81-year-old should get the treatment.
$1 million? Do you think it's worth it?
But not.
This may be the last ad you ever see, because with the free ad block extension from Capital One Shopping,
Let's see what people say. I didn't even know what people said. Yes. Some people said yes to that?
Now the results from my audience flipped. More than 80% of my audience thinks the old man should not get the treatment.
Yeah.
There are two big differences between these two scenarios. First, the number of additional years of life that the first patient gets with the treatment, and secondly, the quality of those years. A treatment that gives you years of life spent in poor health is not as good as a treatment that returns you to your good health. That's why in healthcare, a different concept is used. The quality adjusted life year, also known as QALY. A value of 1 corresponds to 1 year in good health, whereas a value of 0 corresponds to death. A value somewhere in the middle corresponds to a year with health limitations.
Okay.
The first scenario gives you 60 years of life in good health, which corresponds to 60 QALYs. If the treatment costs $1.5 million, then that's a cost effectiveness of $25,000 per QALY. If you answered yes to this question, then you're implying a year of life in good health is worth at least that value. $25,000 is about £20,000, which is a value under which the UK considers the treatment to be cost efficient. The blue bars in this chart show the health technologies that were approved by the UK and their respective costs per QALY. In red, you have the health technologies that were rejected. As you can see, some health technologies cost more than £20,000 per QALY and were approved, so this threshold is not the only criteria used by the UK, but you can definitely see that the higher the cost per QALY, the less likely it is for a health technology to be approved. It's controversial to assign a value to someone's life, and these methods have limitations. Some people misinterpret the value of a statistical life, which is one of the reasons why politicians don't communicate it very often. During the first COVID wave, governments had to make a decision between protecting the economy or saving lives. Many countries use the hospital capacities to determine the lockdown measures, but we never really hear the value of a statistical life being mentioned. And yet, the interesting thing to me is that even if we don't use the value of a statistical life explicitly, we end up using it implicitly. If you're only willing to apply limited lockdown restrictions to protect the economy, then implicitly, you're saying it's not worth it financially to save lives beyond that point. With
That's
some
evil.
reverse calculations, you could
Fuck.
calculate the implicit value of a statistical life, which is exactly what this group of researchers did. They looked at how long governments waited to implement lockdowns during the first wave of COVID to estimate the implicit cost they were prepared to pay to protect their citizens. They estimated that the value of a statistical life in South Korea, a country which had early and strict COVID restrictions, was between $6.7 and $11.6 million, whereas in countries that took longer to apply lockdown measures, it was significantly lower. So, even if you refuse to put a price on life, your actions will do it for you.
Holy
The
shit,
point of
dude.
this discussion is not to find how much your life is worth, but to discuss how we can find a compromise between saving lives and the limits of what society can afford. Unfortunately, we cannot prevent every death, but using a common metric like the value of a statistical life can help us make more informed decisions. It makes the choice of priorities more transparent to the public. For me personally, it's also a reminder that a certain risk of death is part of life. There are risks you decide to take, like doing extreme sport, and there are others you can't really decide on. Every time you step out of your house to do things like buying groceries, you could get run over by a car and die.
Yeah.
There are over 4,000 pedestrian fatalities per year in the EU, meaning that if you live here, there's a 0.001% chance you'll get run over by a car every year. You could minimize that risk by never leaving your home, but instead, you accept it. Or at least, I hope you do. Thank you for watching. If you like stories told with data, consider leaving a
Damn, dude. I mean, he gave us like, he kind of gave us statistics for like Europe instead of the US, but it does make sense why the countries do what they do in terms of like giving out policies and stuff like that. I can see now why they pay for certain treatments and why they don't, because realistically, if you're a company, an 81-year-old's man life, when even if you give him the medicine, he will still have like treatment and he will still pretty much be like brain dead. Cause I don't say that. So let's say this video was interesting, but if you do think about it, I can see why companies like healthcare sometimes don't approve certain medicines. Because if you think about it, give an 81-year-old man the medicine that he needs, but he's only gonna live a few more months. It's kind of hard to give him a treatment that costs like $1.5 million in the chance. You know, in that situation that we were given, $1.5 million for a company doesn't seem that worth it if he's gonna live like 2-3 months and then end up dying later on. But yeah, man, it's an evil world because it is money after all, and I feel like money just kind of comes and goes. So I don't know, man. If he was able to pay for it, amazing. But if not, it's kind of hard in the company's eyes to lose that much money. But yeah. Alright, well, let's get one more video on. Alright. So we're gonna be reacting a little bit more.
I've smoked.
So we're gonna be doing first time doing Molly by Ninja.
I've drank, Lord forgive me, I've even done mushrooms. But in my eyes, all of those are fairly moderate or not bad substances. But this time, doing Molly was the first time I dipped my toes into the deep end and
have
jumped
no idea
into
what the
what
fuck
I
Molly
would
is, to be
consider
honest.
the dark side. And
The
I didn't
dark
even
side?
mean to do Molly this day. So it all starts at the end of my day.
Did we
I had
stop?
just gotten done with a long day of work and I was winding down and, well, I'll just let this video speak for itself.
Doesn't get any better than this, brother. Got my One Piece, my Vizzy Hard Seltzer, and my Lego Vespa. This is gonna be a good night.
When suddenly I got a FaceTime from Adam. I picked it up and I see him with the legend Roderick. They were like, bro, you gotta come over. Roderick's in town. And I hadn't seen him all summer, so I was hype. Yeah, bro, I'll come over, but you gotta pick me up because I'm off the hard seltzer, my boy. So my goons come and get me and take me back to Adam's mansion house. I had to put the brakes on the Lego Vespa, but I had higher priorities to attend to. So we get to Adam's house, run down to the basement garage, and get into the weed Porsche. We had the weed as we entered the car, but what I didn't know was that Adam had a little something else in his current possession. He turns around and reveals 3 different pills for each of us. Boys, I have Molly if we want to try it tonight. Now, I got a bit of whiplash from this. None of the 3 of us had done Molly at all before, so this was entirely out of left field. These 2 were both on board, but I was a little hesitant. Pills are nothing to trifle with. Adam had tested them, so we knew they were safe, but I was still a little sussed out, but also interested in trying them. In classic Ninja fashion, I said yes, but I opened up the pill and only took half. Because if this was gonna kill us, at least it would kill them first, holy shit. So we popped these little guys and waited for our digestive systems to do its thing. We bumped the music and had a little chit chat.
What is Molly been used for? Now that I think about it, I'm heard that it's a drug. Forgive me, I had no idea what the fuck it is. Now I know that it's a pill. I thought it was weed. I don't know why I thought that. But what does it even do? Like, what's it used for? What's the purpose of making it? Because I'm pretty sure, like, most, like, drugs are used in some type of medicine way. Or they use chemicals in order to make it. But Molly's a pill, so I'm pretty sure it has a purpose in some way or another.
After about 15 minutes had passed, this Pop Smoke music was starting to sound a little better than usual. We were enchanted by the woo, and the 3 of us just get so much energy from this music. We step out of the Porsche and decide to experience this in the outdoors. So we go for a sunset walk around the neighborhood. As we walk around, Adam discovers that walking backwards is apparently really awesome. So the 3 of us are walking through the streets backwards, and I imagine it would be a strange cryptid thing to see as a bystander. I remember this moment was when it really started to hit these 2. Adam was staring at the sky like, bro, I'm breaking through, holy shit. It was like that video of the guy doing DMT on CSGO. As for me, I'm not really feeling all that much yet since I only took half the dosage. We get back to the place and I take the other half. For the next half an hour, these guys feel like kings, but I never reached that peak since I spread it out. So we decided to smoke on top of the Molly, and this is where I get sent to the moon and only really remember certain parts of the night. I had smoked that Yarnum pack that had me feeling like a Lovecraftian 5th dimensional being. Before I know it, there's an Uber at the house. I had no memory of ordering one, and I had no idea where it was gonna take me, but I get in anyways. The drive felt like 20 seconds long, but it had to have been at least a 10-minute ride. The whole time, my consciousness is just shifting in and out, and it felt like I was teleporting down each block. We get dropped off at this trail, and despite being a place that I go pretty often, I was like, bro, where are we? It was so dark, I couldn't even see the ground I was stepping on. I just moved my feet forward and trusted that I wouldn't trip or run into anything. I remember saying, guys, I need you to look after me right now. I'm too fucked. Which was absolutely true. If I was alone out here, I would have been no better than the wild animals. I would have slept in the field.
Have you ever had a fucked up person take care of another fucked up person? Dude, that is one of the dumbest things that can happen, but one of the funniest experiences they can have. When 2 people are fucked up, everything just seems funny.
Or something. It was so dark, my depth perception was all fricked up, and the trees looked like 2-dimensional images. I didn't even feel like I was walking. It was like I moved in place while the world spun under my feet. The trees were coming at me. I wasn't walking towards the trees, if you know what I mean. Before I know it, I'm in another Uber going home. We get back to Adam's place, and it was somehow 4 a.m., which is just an absolutely devilish time for me. Mind you, I go to bed at like 9 p.m. on a normal day, so I passed out. I wake up at like 6 a.m. and I get a ride home on my feeble 2 hours of sleep. And you would think it's over here, but that's not the end of the story. For the rest of this day, I'm just tired and chilled out, building my Lego Vespa and watching shows
Lego
on the
Vespa.
telly. Until about 6 p.m. hits and I get another FaceTime from Adam. Come over, bro. We got more Molly. We're taking it again. I was like,
Molly,
what the
back
fuck
to
are these
back.
people doing? They're gonna stay up for 2 days non-stop on Molly. What the fuck? So I head over to Adam's place and he still has Rod.
Alright, forgive me. I have no idea what the fuck Molly even does. I need to get to the bottom of this. Alright, search up on ChatGPT. Alright, what does Molly even do? Alright, so according to ChatGPT, when people say Molly, they're usually taking about the drug MDMA. This fucking big ass word, I don't know how to say that. But yeah, Molly in short. It's called Molly in short because I'm not reading that. Effects on the brain increases serotonin, dopamine, and neuro, whatever this word is. Causes feelings of euphoria, empathy, closeness, and heightened mood. Enhances sensory perception. Enhancing sensory perception. Lights, music, touch, more feel intense. Fuck, I gotta say this again. Enhancing sensory perceptions. Lights, music, and touch feel more intense. The short-term effects increases energy and sociability, emotional worth. Recent downsides, calm down or crash after use, depression, fatigue, irritability. Risk of overheating and dehydration can be neurotoxic with heavy repeated use, damaging the system. And some pills or powders or sold as Molly contain other dangerous substances. Alright, well now we know what it is, because I had no idea what the fuck it was. But it's some type of, yeah, it's some type of medicine that I don't know how they got it.
Roderick over there, but also my boy Kevin is partaking in this unholy day. This time I'm purely here to observe. I'm not doing it again until Adam offers me mushrooms. So you know, I won't lie, I ate a little
Mushrooms,
bit, but just a
Molly,
little, not that
weed, I
much.
don't
The
know,
four of
this-
us
that
Uber
doesn't
to
sound safe at
Safeway
all.
for yummies. We walk in there
I've never done
looking
any of those,
sus
so I don't know what
as
the fuck it
hell.
feels like.
I can't stop smiling. I try my hardest not to, but it's just something I couldn't do, man. I end up buying an entire box of donuts and we Uber over to the
I love
park
donuts.
for a walk. We get dropped off by my boy Cameron's house, who lives by the destination, and he comes out just because he hears us outside. Just like that, my little party has grown to 5 people, and I'm handing out these donuts like I'm Mr. Beast philanthropy. From a storytelling perspective, this walk doesn't really have much to talk about. It was really just a fun and peaceful time. A late night walk out with the gang through the forest was just really nice. The entire walk, somehow, Cameron didn't catch on that the 4 of us were on drugs, which I think is really funny. Lord knows I'm not doing anything harder than Molly, especially not lean. Looking back on it, I don't think I'd do Molly again. It's just a little too intense for me.
Also don't know what the
Mushrooms
fuck
are
lean
where I
is,
draw
to
the
be
line.
honest.
I'm sure a few people are gonna want to do Molly from this video, and if you really want to, I can't stop you. But if you're going to, you gotta test it like Adam did. Pills are not something you want to take risks with. All right,
don't
my
do Molly.
85.4% men, 12.4% females, and especially you 2.2% unspecified. Thank you for 10,000 subscribers.
So yeah, I don't think Molly should be one of the things that you should try. I mean, yeah, I don't see the reason why you should try it. But there's like, I don't know, I guess safer stuff. I don't think pills should be a way that you should be trying. I think if anything, to smoke weed or fucking, I don't know, Nick, if you're into the smoker thing. But if you don't like that, then even better. Just don't do anything at all. I feel like that would be the safest and most healthy way of not causing your body to just get addicted to anything. So yeah, man, don't do any fucking drugs and you'll probably be okay instead of this guy that did Molly. But nah. But looking at it in the good side, now we know what Molly does. I had no idea what the fuck Molly did. I had no idea what the fuck Molly did. Alright, that's already fine. I think I'm gonna just end the stream here. I have 3 videos to edit, so I think that'll be enough for now, at least. Just 'cause I had to get some type of video out today. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.